Most people aren't broke because they don't make money. They re-broke because they manage money in a way the 1% wouldn't even let their houseplants do. Yes, if your wallet had feelings, it would probably file a complaint by now. Welcome back to the channel, your virtual travel TV, your guide to understanding why money behaves differently for different people. Today's video, how to manage your money like the 1% in America, is going to challenge a few beliefs you've probably carried for years. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. The wealthiest people aren't operating with some magical currency. They use the same dollars we do. They just play a completely different game with them. You're about to learn why someone earning $60,000 a year can outgrow someone earning $200,000, why the wealthy seem almost immune to financial stress, and why your bank account may be reacting more to your habits than your actual income. And no, this isn't one of those skip your latte lectures. The 1% have strategies that go way deeper than coffee. I'll expose the mindset shifts and behaviors that quietly separate the wealthy from everyone else. And trust me, once you hear them, you'll start spotting them everywhere. So stay with me, settle in, and if you're ready to upgrade your money game, kindly like, subscribe, and let's begin. Number 1. Start with the secret mind shift hook strong. The 1% think in systems, not salaries. If you look closely at how most people interact with money, you'll notice a fascinating pattern. Nearly everything revolves around salary day. The 15th, the 30th, the alert day, these dates might as well be national holidays. People celebrate them with a joy usually reserved for weddings and surprise party proposals. But here's where the plot twist enters. The top 1% don't live for payday. Their finances don't orbit around a salary at all. They operate with something far more stable, scalable, and honestly, far less stressful, systems. A salary might pay the bills, but a system funds the lifestyle, builds the wealth, and this is the part nobody likes hearing. Keeps growing even when the person behind it is asleep, on vacation, or binge-watching a series they swore they'd only watch one episode of. Systems are the unseen engines behind wealthy people's financial lives, and the numbers prove it. According to studies by Fidelity and Vanguard, over 70% of self-made millionaires attribute their success less to income and more to consistent automated behaviors, investing regularly, allocating money strategically, and allowing time and compounding to do the heavy lifting. Meanwhile, the average person sees money as something that arrives, gets spent, and disappears. You know, like socks in a washing machine. The 1% treat money like a business treats revenue. They build funnels, rules, automations, and frameworks that remove emotion from the equation. It's not about how much they make. It's about how well their systems convert income into assets, assets into cash flow, and cash flow into long-term power. Think of it this way. If salary thinking is a bicycle, simple, functional, fully dependent on your pedaling, system thinking is a train. It moves fast, carries more weight, and doesn't care how tired you are. You don't wake up and say, "Let me manually push the train today." No. It runs because it was built to run. This shift from depending on income to depending on systems is the defining difference between those who stay financially anxious and those who build durable wealth in America. Once you adopt system thinking, money stops being an unpredictable visitor and becomes a predictable worker. Number 2, the wealth multiplier code. Why ownership beats hard work. You've probably heard people proudly say, "I work hard for my money," as if it's a medal of honor. And it is, hard work is admirable. But here's the uncomfortable plot twist. Hard work alone has never made anyone wealthy. If effort were the secret ingredient to riches, construction workers, nurses, and teachers, some of the hardest working people on earth, would dominate the Forbes list every year. The 1% figured out a long time ago that money doesn't multiply through exhaustion, it multiplies through ownership. In fact, according to a report by the Federal Reserve, over 80% of wealth held by the richest Americans comes from assets, not salaries. Yes, assets, stocks, real estate, businesses, intellectual property, and anything else that quietly earns money while you re-arguing with the alarm clock at 6 a.m. Ownership is the cheat code most people were never taught. Instead, society trains people to chase promotions, bonuses, and stable jobs. Nothing wrong with stability unless it becomes a comfortable trap. A job pays you once. Ownership pays you repeatedly. A job expires at the end of the month. Ownership keeps generating, month after month, year after year, silently like a ninja with direct deposit powers. Here's the punchline. Someone earning $60,000 annually but investing consistently in assets can end up wealthier than someone earning $200,000 who spends like their income is allergic to their bank account. Wealth is not a matter of how much you earn, it's a matter of how much you retain and how much you own. Think of money like seeds. A salary is eating all your seeds every month. Ownership is planting those seeds and letting them grow into trees that eventually feed you back. Trees don't care if you're tired, busy, or on vacation, they produce fruit anyway. This is why the 1% spend less energy flaunting riches and more energy building wealth engines. The boat, house, car, and vacations come after the assets, never before. Ownership first, lifestyle later. Number 3. Money mapping. The 1% track money like scientists. For most people, budgeting is something they do only when life forces it, like when the account balance politely taps them on the shoulder and whispers, "We are in trouble." But the 1% treat money tracking with scientific precision. They're not guessing, they're not estimating. They're not hoping the numbers magically line up. They know exactly where their money is, where it's going, and what it's doing at all times. Studies show that people who track their finances regularly are significantly more likely to build long-term wealth. Not because tracking itself makes you rich, but because clarity leads to better decisions. When you know the truth about your spending, you can no longer pretend that your money just disappeared, like socks in a laundry vortex. You see the leaks, the habits, the impulses, the emotional purchases that didn't feel emotional at the time, just urgent. The wealthy treat every dollar like an employee. If that dollar is lazy, it gets reassigned. If it's working hard, it gets reinvested. Money has a job description in the world of the 1%, and being wasted is not part of it. Most people avoid tracking because they fear what they'll find. But avoiding your finances doesn't make them better, it just blinds you until the money runs out. The wealthy face their numbers early, even when the numbers are depressing. Why? Because they know that data is power. Emotional decisions end with regret. Numerical decisions end with progress. Think of money tracking as having Google Maps for your finances. You wouldn't drive across the country relying on vibes and memory. Yet many people drive their financial lives that way, blindfolded, humming, hoping for the best. When you track your money like a scientist, you shift from reaction to control. And when you gain control, your finances stop surprising you and start obeying you. Number 4. The automation advantage. How the wealthy remove themselves from money decisions. The average person thinks discipline is about willpower. The 1% think discipline is about design. That's why they automate everything. They know that relying on motivation to manage money is like relying on weather, unpredictable, inconsistent, and occasionally disastrous. Automation is the wealthy person's best friend. Why? Because automated money doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't wait until you feel ready. It doesn't negotiate. It follows instructions quietly, consistently, and without judgment. A Princeton study found that people make worse financial decisions when they're stressed or tired, which, let's be honest, is basically every weekday after lunch. Automation removes stress from the equation entirely. When investments, savings, debt payments, and contributions happen automatically, you eliminate the weakest link in the financial chain, you. Automated investing ensures you buy assets regularly, even on months when your brain is tempted to say, "Let's skip it, things are tight." Automated savings protects your goals from impulse purchases disguised as necessities. Automation gives your money a job description and removes your emotions from the HR department. The 1% design systems so tight that their money grows without daily attention. They understand that the human brain is phenomenal at creativity but terrible at consistency. So they let technology handle consistency while they handle strategy. Think of automation as putting your finances on autopilot. Pilots don't manually steer planes for 6-hour flights, they'd lose their minds. Instead, they set the system, monitor it, and only intervene when necessary. Wealth works exactly the same way. Once money is automated, wealth stops being an event and becomes a habit. Number 5. Income stacking. Why one source of income is a financial time bomb. Depending on one income source in today's world is like depending on one light bulb in your house. If it goes out, you're suddenly living in darkness. The 1% know this all too well, which is why they treat single-income living as a temporary phase, not a long-term plan. Research from the IRS reveals that most millionaires have at least 3 to 7 income streams. Not because they're greedy, but because they understand something most people pretend not to see: one paycheck, no matter how big, is fragile. There are layoffs, recessions, illness, industry shifts, company restructures, replacing tasks, and at least 12 other plot twists life loves to throw at humans. When you have only one source of income, every one of those twists feels like a potential disaster. But when you have multiple streams, bad news becomes an inconvenience, not a crisis. Income stacking is not about juggling 20 side hustles until you collapse. It's about building stable layers. Think of it like a wealth pyramid. Base layer, your core skill income, the thing you're best at. Middle layer, scalable income, business, online income, freelancing. Top layer, passive income, dividends, rental income, royalties. Each layer creates stability, the one below it cannot. Income stacking is financial armor. The more layers you have, the harder it is for life to knock you down. Number 6. Intelligent leverage, the tool the 1% use that the 99% avoid. Leverage is the grown-up word for multiplying results without multiplying effort. The wealthy use leverage the way chefs use salt: strategically, sparingly, and always to enhance the final outcome. The average person avoids leverage because it sounds risky or complicated, and sometimes it is when used badly. But when used intelligently, leverage is the difference between slow growth and life-changing growth. There are 4 main types of leverage the 1% master: people, capital, technology, and media. People leverage means hiring talent to do the tasks you shouldn't be burning time on. Wealthy people understand that time is their rarest currency, so outsourcing isn't a luxury, it's a wealth strategy. Capital leverage is using money, sometimes borrowed, to grow more money. It's not about irresponsible debt, it's about making capital productive. Wealthy individuals borrow to buy appreciating assets, not depreciating toys. Technology leverage lets software, automation, and AI handle repetitive work. A good system can work harder and faster than a team of humans, and it doesn't need lunch breaks. Media leverage is the most powerful of all. A single video, article, or piece of content can work for you forever. The wealthy understand the power of digital footprints. Leverage expands your capacity without expanding your exhaustion. And that's why the 1% reach goals in 5 years that take others 25. Number 7. Wealth protection. Getting rich is easy. Staying rich is a skill. Most people think wealth is about stacking as much money as possible. The 1% think wealth is about building a fortress. Because here's the truth: the world is full of things that want to separate you from your money: bad investments, market crash, lawsuits, inflation, unexpected emergencies, and of course, the occasional self-inflicted impulse decision. Research shows that nearly 60% of lottery winners go bankrupt within 5 years. Not because they didn't make money, but because they didn't protect it. Wealth that isn't protected evaporates. The 1% know this, which is why their financial strategy includes insurance, diversification, legal structures, tax optimization, and emergency funds. Wealth protection is not sexy. You won't see people bragging on Instagram about their estate plan or insurance coverage. But those unglamorous steps are precisely what keep wealthy people wealthy. Protection is the overlooked twin of prosperity. Number 8. Internal investment. The 1% upgrade themselves before their bank accounts. The wealthy invest in themselves with the same seriousness others invest in the latest phone. They understand that their brain is their biggest earning asset. A single skill, mastered, can change someone's financial destiny far quicker than a pay raise ever will. According to research from Stanford University, people who consistently invest in learning earn significantly more over their lifetime. The 1% buy books, courses, coaching, and mentorships not because they enjoy spending money, but because knowledge pays dividends in ways no stock ever could. Skills produce income. Income produces investments. Investments produce freedom. Growth starts internally and reflects externally, always. Number 9. Data over emotion. The discipline that saves millions. If money had feelings, it would probably ask humans to stop making emotional decisions with it. The 1% treat money with logic, not mood swings. They avoid impulsive purchases, panic selling, trend chasing, and emotional investing. Instead, they look at trends, long-term outcomes, and probabilities. Research shows that emotional investors consistently underperform the market by large margins, not because the market is cruel, but because fear and excitement make terrible financial advisors. The wealthy let numbers guide them. They evaluate decisions based on facts, not feelings. They know emotion is temporary, but consequences are not. Number 10. The long game. Why the 1% win in the end. The wealthy think in decades. Everyone else thinks in days. That alone creates an entirely different life outcome. Wealth doesn't grow in a straight line, it grows slowly, then suddenly. This is the compounding curve that people underestimate. The 1% stay consistent long enough to reach the wealth curve. The average person quits right before the curve begins. And that is why the 1% win, not because they are faster, but because they are more patient. Long-term thinking creates long-term wealth. Period. We are down to section 10 through. Thank you for watching. Today, we explored how the 1% think, act, invest, automate, protect, and build their financial futures. These principles aren't reserved for the wealthy, they're available to anyone willing to adopt them. Start applying one idea today, even a small one. Consistency beats intensity every single time. If you enjoyed this breakdown, kindly like, subscribe, and share this video. Tell me in the comments, which wealth habit will you start applying first?